Hey guys, welcome back. We're going to be basically just brainstorming and talking about the Camaro. A lot of people have been wanting like an update on it, definitely. And one thing that we know for certain is people want to see it driving. So that's why we're talking about like possibly changing up what our original plans were. Because our original plans were to supercharge it with the M90. And we wanted to have it cut, and so the throttle body will come out over this way, and down the road be eventually able to twin charge it with the turbo, which the turbo would ideally sit like in this area. I guess we kind of show you on here, be sitting like right in here. That was our original plan. We've run into some things, and that's why we're just like considering changing up like what we're going to do, because we can do it faster in other routes.
So the reason the turbo sits there is because you can buy a turbo kit and it sits right there, meaning, you know, without us having to modify the kit ourselves, we're just going to have the supercharger intake come out the other side, so it doesn't interfere. But like the problems that we see with that is that we're having to ask someone to cut the supercharger and completely fab up for the intake to realistically go into a just not the better side.
One thing you'll see with anybody doing this swap, they always have the intake on the inlet to the supercharger on the passenger side. Yeah. It just makes more sense. There's less room on the driver's side with the brake booster, all these lines, everything. This side is like totally open. That's why you'll see it. But with how the turbo kit we're looking at, we'd buy inlet right here. So if the throttle body's in there and the turbo's staying there, we can't easily, like, it doesn't work easily that way. So we're going to go over some options. So first option, we can not ditch the idea, but like get the inlet on the passenger side, because we can just cap the M90. Unfortunately, we don't have it with us. It's with Griffin, who is going to be fabricating it, but that kind of fell through. So, well, not necessarily falling through, just
taking a long time.
It takes a long time.
And before Davis continues on, one other problem with that is that the thermostat housing, it just like it becomes a big problem for the thermostat to be right there where the intake is going to go right over it.
Exactly, yeah.
So we'd have to fab that as well.
There's like no clearance back there for it, and yeah, the intake would have to share space with the thermostat housing, which we have thought of solutions for this, but still, it's another restriction, another thing that we run into.
So yeah, first idea is that we pipe it onto the other side, and it would just be a lot easier, like Davis is saying, because we could cut a hole actually in the side of it, just the opposite of the boost gauge, or not boost gauge, sorry, the boost bypass valve, and then just weld pipe to that and make a 90, and that'll be easier. And
that's what everyone does. It's easier. It will complicate things in the future when we want to twin charge it.
So the turbo kit will just have to be different. So like we'll have to modify that, or have it modified to have the turbo on the opposite side of which the turbo kits come. And so that's just one option. Another option is to completely forego the supercharger altogether.
Yeah, this is the biggest thing where we want your guys' input, because we know the supercharger kind of makes us unique. There are thousands of turbocharged F bodies out there, 3.8 turbocharged F bodies. So this would just be another one. So we could instead ditch the idea of supercharging it and turbocharge it.
And then if we turbocharge it, like, we can buy a kit and have it almost together. The engine's already together, and like
it'd be just really fast.
The fastest way I see this car getting out of this driveway is if we turbo it, because we got the engine built, like I said, and it's just sitting here. Now, if we had a turbo kit, we'd actually have something to do on the car.
Yeah.
And we'd have a reason to run the fuel lines, run the meth line, possibly think about intercooling it. But we actually, we need a reason to get this engine into the car, and the supercharger's holding us back right now because of the freaking...
We literally can't... It's like, we can put it in, but it needs to come out for the supercharger, and, figuring stuff out. It's not actual progress until we get that cut and figured out and measured. So... yeah, and there's also different ways we can go about, cool ways we can go about with the turbocharger, since we can go just with the stock Camaro lower intake manifold, upper intake manifold, possibly get it ported. Tristan has a friend that might help with that.
Yeah, he ports those Camaro intakes and also can weld an adapter for a 90 millimeter throttle body. Now that would be really cool. I really love that idea.
And another thing with the turbo, we could avoid even having an air-to-air intercooler. We can keep the stock L67 lower intake manifold, get like a single or full stack intercooler, and then fabricate just an intake, literally just a box with like a 3-inch hole that we can get a throttle body on. That way the turbo can feed right into the intake, and it goes into an air-to-water intercooler. Won't need like a front air-to-air. It will make it less complex. Literally the turbo would sit right here, 90 right into the intake, and then into the air-to-water intercooler, which would cool the charged airs. And then we also have methanol going on with it, so it's like going to be efficient.
Methanol will be that will be something we will have no matter what direction we go, and it will just make more sense that way. And so that will control some of the heat. What we're thinking, also, we'll talk about it later, we're thinking about spacing the K-member lower down, so we might be able to get a little bit more space, because an M90, realistically, we've seen pictures, there should be about 3/4 of an inch, half an inch, 3/4 of an inch maybe of room between that and the cow. And then with the Camaro intake, I saw about an inch, maybe a little bit more of clearance with that lower and upper intake. So we'll basically just be able to get a little bit more room out of it. So we might be able to put a I think with that amount of room, we will definitely be able to put a
air-to-water
small stack.
intercooler. Yeah, small stack.
But if we're, god dang, the squirrels are hiding more nuts in my car.
Really? Oh yeah.
Hiding it for winter.
What the hell?
So I think if we're lucky, we might be able to run a full stack.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But we also could run a an air-to-air and an air-to-water, maybe, if we really want to frickin' be super cool kids with the cooling. I mean, it might not be necessary. A lot of turbo people really praise the air-to-airs.
Yep.
We'll see though.
And then the last option we've considered is ditching the M90 and going with a Mustang M122 or M112.
Yep.
Because those are similar dimensions to the M90. There's like people who talk about using it. Thing is, we would need our lower intake manifold back. We would need a M112 for like figuring out, spacing. We need to measure how far out it comes out with the snout to line up with the belt system. But that's another option. They already have an elbow that comes out to the passenger side. So like if we're deciding to stick with the M90 and just do that route, might as well just get a M112, which will be a bigger blower, and come out that area as well.
Yeah, more power, bigger blower, and the fact that it already has the freaking intake on one side, and then most of them come with the elbow, like they came with that in the car.
Yeah.
And the elbow, gives it another like good freaking 45 degrees of angle, and then at that point we could also make something else to have the angle better for our application, because they're not freaking they don't have, those freaking Mustangs do not have room issues, because it's very tight right here. We will see if it makes it around this head. It doesn't really want to bend around the head. It's like coming out to here.
Yeah.
And well, we're no strangers to modification. Like, we're already planning that we're going to need to modify something
almost
to get this to work.
Any solution for the SIA driving is going to require like some fabrication.
But that's okay, because that's what we signed up for.
Yep.
So we have that option, and if it came out here, of course, I think with the M112, we will definitely want to twin charge in the future, just like the M90. Nothing will change there. However, intake will be on this side no matter what with the M112. So turbo will have to be on other side or somewhere else.
Yeah.
Which means that those turbo manifolds will have to be modified, cut, and welded pipe onto to wherever location we want that turbo to sit.
Yeah, Tristan's...
And we really are unsure of where we want the turbo to sit, because we don't have a turbo. This is just an idea that we've been throwing around for just the beginning of this week.
Yeah, there's the option of getting the turbo somewhere in this area. Tristan has a friend who's done that. That'd
be interesting. I wouldn't want to sacrifice my headlight.
Yeah.
Because I ain't no super cool race kid. However, I think that no matter where the intake of the turbo is, it'd be really nice to run it into here, have the filter
Yeah.
drop in, and some people on our YouTube channel was telling us to do it. I think it would be a great idea.
The coolant expansion tank, you can buy ones that are smaller than this that are just like modular, and you can just band them anywhere.
Now there isn't a lot. I will say there isn't a lot of like freaking space in here once the engine is in here. However, I think that would be the perfect space for the intake, because we could even cut a hole in the bumper. I don't care, or make this travel in.
Yeah, honestly, we'd save a lot of room if we deleted the AC. If we like blocked off the heater core, there's like a lot of things you can clear up some space. But
it sucks that this just isn't in a better spot.
Yeah. Yeah, these F bodies, they put the motor so far down and back. There's just not a lot of room.
Oh yeah, let's talk about how we will space that if we do.
So I've seen people online talking, and this seems like a great idea for our application. So no matter what we do, I think we're going to do this. You can see where the K-member or subframe will connect to the frame of the car. People put spacers on there, and lowering the subframe will lower the engine inside the engine bay, because it's sitting on there. So if it's spaced down, we could easily get another 1/2 inch of clearance for the cowl, which will further allow us to get like a short stack or a full stack intercooler on. And yeah, I was just did a quick search on eBay. People make just like 1/2 inch spacers. You know, I could do like billet spacers or something, and so we're not just getting like washers from the hardware store, but something a bit, you know, more robust. And I don't see any reason why that would cause any problems. There's no like hard lines that we'll need to like. The only thing is maybe the steering arm. That might, you know, if that's lower, the steering arm will have to be modified. We'll just have to look into it, see what kind of clearances we have. But that seems like a great idea to just get us some free room.
Sounds like a perfect idea to me. Like, sounds like very easy. Doesn't seem like there's a lot to go wrong with that. Davis said that, you know, you have to account for the suspension having that 1/2 inch of less travel.
Yeah.
And that'll just be...
The suspension might have some more lift to it, because if we're dropping the subframe, the suspension's also going down. But the strut tower has to connect, so we might put washers or spacers on that as well. We'll just have to see.
We're also thinking about possibly, you know, the angle of the drive shaft. We're not exactly sure on what kind of angle that would be if we lowered this a 1/2 inch. But we're thinking that it probably won't be an issue.
Yeah,
but,
the cross member will still bolt up, and if we need to, we can put spacers or washers through that. 1/2 inch on the driveline angle probably isn't like the worst thing, not the best, but
there's always a potential for things to go wrong.
And then Tristan also wants to get, this is the K member for Vence's Trans Am. He wants to get a K member for the Camaro, because it'll just free up a lot of room for any turbo stuff, and just give us more clearance and stuff to work with, and be lighter.
It might even make spark plug changes worlds easier,
Yeah,
because
definitely.
people want to cry
doing
this.
Like if you look at this, if we were to come in through like the wheel well, or if we were to come in through the top, it'd be really hard to reach. What's his name on YouTube, 3.8 Supercharged Firebird? He was just like, put the plugs in before you install it. With this, like, you can imagine kind of like this, there's like room where you can just put your hand through. Whereas this, it's just, you know, completely solid metal.
Just solid, and it won't be like that. It'll be so much better.
Yep.
And that's about $500. There's only one company that I know of that makes a 3800 specific K member. So if you're ever interested in that,
the K members are different than the LS ones. This isn't the K member that the LS one would come on.
Yep. It looks entirely different than that one. So be aware if you want to purchase one yourself.
Yep.
So yeah, let us know what you think, if we should just turbo it just to get the thing running.
Because benefits to it, like, it would theoretically make more power, because the Supercharger M90 situation would probably only make ever 350 wheel horsepower.
Yep.
If we did an M112, probably still maybe 350 more maybe reliably, 400. or 400. Maybe. Turbo kits, I mean, sky's the limit with turbos, really. The kit that we're looking at could do like 500 to 600 with the right amount of cooling, which we want to possibly do the short stack, intercooler, full stack, also meth on it. Yeah, there's just like a lot of options. So we want to know what you guys think. We're very much leaning towards doing just the turbo, but we're not opposed to doing the Supercharger. Yeah. Personally, myself, I like the idea of the Supercharger being, I think that'd be cooler.
I think it would be cooler too.
It wouldn't make as much power, but I mean, how many supercharged, you know, Camaro Firebirds are there?
Exactly. And that's the whole idea before I bought this car. Twin charging was not the reality. It was just slapping a supercharger on this thing and being like, yep, that's the most unique way to do it. And it is still. But twin charging would be more unique, however, a lot more problems. And just turboing it, honestly, will produce more power, I bet, with less problems than having both of them.
Yeah.
And so that's just kind of where we're at right now. We've gotten to a point where we kind of want to make progress with it, and we're kind of being stuck because of our own ways of which we want to do it. So that's why we're asking you.
Yep.
Do we want to turbo it, make more power? Do we want to put an M112 on it and figure that out? Do we want to figure out the M90? It's all options. We're not opposed to anything, like Davis said.
Yeah, definitely. I know. We know for a fact you guys just want to see it driving, and
we just want it to drive.
We wanted it to drive. We want it out of the driveway. It's been here forever, and turbo would be the fastest route in our eyes, because literally just swapping out the exhaust manifolds, dropping in there. We have the turbo already in place. We just need to literally make a downpipe, which is 90 degree. We could just straight do a 90 degree downpipe, and then we could even do intercooler-less, no air-to-air intercooler, like straight in to begin with, and then down the road, once we have more time and after it's driving, we can fabricate an actual air-to-air intercooler.
That's true. Meth might be enough.
Meth might be enough.
Because, we're like, before we got on camera, me and Davis were discussing it. After we turbo this thing, that transmission's gonna go.
That's true. Yeah, if we turbo it, the trans is gonna go much faster than it would with the supercharger.
And so we're thinking of just keeping a very low boost for now. Like max 10 pounds. Even that would probably be kind of high for the power
That's like
level.
what the M90 would do, potentially.
And I'm just not sure if it will be harder or lighter on it. I know that the turbos are better on the automatic transmissions. Don't know about this. So we'll see about that, but we need an exit strategy for this thing.
Yeah, on that point, basically how the boost comes in. So like superchargers, you get instant torque, instant power. So it's kind of harder on transmissions, like especially on like a hard launch. If we were using like two-step supercharged, it'd like dump the power right on it. Well, I guess also if we were using two-step on the turbo, it'd build the boost too.
That's true.
But just cruising around, the turbo would be better because the boost comes in like a ramp.
So there's a potential that even if we turbo it, we could save the transmission for a little bit. As
phone.
People calling me. My mom. God damn it. God damn it, Mom. But our long-term viewers know our plan with this is we're going to switch it for a T56 eventually, but they're pretty expensive right now, so now is not the time to buy it.
Yeah, there's also, I was thinking of an option, that we were like just talking like a couple months ago about another 3800 build for the future, like maybe more of like a straight drag oriented build. I've looked online, there are actually adapter plates that you can get for the 3800s to adapt to a normal GM style like automatic, like a 4L60, a 4L80. So we can get one of those adapters, which are pretty expensive, and then source a 4L80 and then get a US Shift Quick 4. That way we would have like an external trans computer. We can control all the, all the parameters of the automatic. There's just like so much tuning we can do with it, and then it would be a really stout transmission that would handle the power, and it would be one of a kind. No one's ever done that as far as I know.
Now that sounds super badass, because I'm pretty sure that your transmission shifts so quickly because of your computer and whatnot. Like his transmission shifts faster than any other transmission of any car that I've been in.
Yeah, and the thing with the US, like the US Shift computers, is it bypasses any type of ECM, PCM. Like normal cars, like say if this was an automatic, it would have to, the transmission controller, I guess the PCM power control module, would have to decide when it wants to upshift or downshift, and it can be sloppy. It won't know when to downshift. With the US Shift, you can even wire in fucking paddle shifters. I did that with my Mustang.
Yeah.
And
cool.
when you command it, it will shift. So it's very fast. It doesn't have to think twice about it. Before with my Mustang, I would like upshift and it'd be like, okay, and then it would go.
That's how it is with my GMs.
Yep. So that'd be pretty cool. Not sure if we do it this, because we kind of do actually want to keep the manual, because manuals are fun.
But we might get bored with the manual later on.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be fun, but like, say we're at the track and we want to be actually like competitive, like a 4L80 with the like a controller will,
It'll be way faster than a T56.
we can get a high stall in it. We can still wire in 2-step,
And we also haven't discussed the gearing of the rear end, of what it will be.
The rear end will need to go too. We need to get a Ford 9-inch or get something else.
We need something. And so we're looking to change the gearing, obviously, but the gearing I think will change depending on the setup we go on.
Yeah.
Supercharged or turbo, we'll probably have to get more aggressive with the turbo setup. But so we don't even know what gear ratio we're going to go with. So this is like a lot to think about. However, the rear end and the transmission, we're looking to replace those later and have this car driving now.
Yeah. Literally, if we were to just get the stock Camaro upper lower intake manifold and the turbo kit, this could be done much sooner.
Yes, and I think that if we're going to go turbo singular, then I will probably swap out the XP cam for a turbo cam of some sort.
Yeah, while it's out, we could just swap the cam easily.
And then put the XP in my Bonneville at a later date, whatever, and or something.
With our experience with the Bonneville, we actually might want to take apart the front cover and just RTV everything because we use normal gaskets. I don't want to have to go through the whole process again with having to like tear this down.
Yeah. In fact, we didn't even RTV the whole like
thing. Yeah.
border. We only RTV'd around the
water
passages.
jackets, yeah.
And so now I'm just like ready to freaking take all of it off and just RTV the whole thing.
Yep. Just use RTV. Like we're seeing just use Permatex the right stuff and just like send it.
No gaskets needed.
Yep.
We got Permatex.
Hell yeah.
RTV for the win.
So yeah, I know that was like a lot of like information to take in. That's just like what we've been thinking about. We want to get it driving. We know you guys want to see it driving. So there's like a lot to consider here.
Yeah, there's not only like the pressures of wanting to get our car out of his driveway and driving. There's also the pressure of you guys wanting to watch this thing and providing content for you guys. That's what a lot of you subscribe to early on for.
Definitely, yeah. Big amount of you guys were just here for the Camaro.
Yeah, we want your input.
Yep.
And we'll go from there because there's just a lot to consider. Really, there's going to be hurdles with any choice we make. Yep. And so it's not going to come together super duper quick. It will have to be thought out.
Yeah, once we make our decisions, that's not to say that it's going to be done, immediately. Mm-hmm. I would so what we're doing like with our current projects will push us a little bit back, but I want to be able to see it run this race season, definitely.
Oh God, please.
Yeah, this race season. Like right now it's January, the end of January.
It opens up in March or
sometime
April?
In spring, April.
Yeah, I hope to God that we can make it to this race season at least this summer. If not, I hope the Bonneville can be actually decent enough to make it to this race season and see what it can do on the new setup.
Definitely the Mustang's going to be ready. And then potentially Vince's Trans Am because we're getting that motor swapped. So, and then also one of the biggest things to consider between these two, if we turboed it, it'd actually be competitive with like cars.
That is true. I honestly believe that
like the Supercharger's cool. We'd be running, 12s.
I have no idea what we'd run. I would hope that it could break into the 12s, but with 350, I mean, it might just bottom out 13s.
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean...
Yeah, this wasn't really supposed to be like a drag racing build to begin with, so it's not like the biggest thing, but...
I was going to say, I think that the turbo setup alone will be more powerful, honestly, than the twin charge setup.
Yeah, probably.
I think that it could potentially be that way. So...
What you measuring there?
I'm just figuring something out.
Okay.
I'll let you guys know.
Okay, Isaiah's working on some R&D, some spec ops shit.
Shit, dude, he's already on it. He's already decided what way we're going.
Yeah, I guess so.
He's doing it.
Yep.
But yeah, so I mean, there's a potential that a supercharger in this twin charge setup will be a restriction, regardless of which one. I have not put enough research into it. I know that the M90 likely will be a restriction, no matter what we do if we twin charge.
Yeah, M90 is just not the best platform.
It isn't.
Because we'd run out of power, definitely, and it would be a restriction with the turbo. So
Yep. I see people online who turbo their front-wheel drive L67s, and they take the rotors out of their supercharger, plate it off, and then suddenly that supercharger is now a turbo manifold.
yep.
So it's
That's
like,
something
that's
else
what
we
they
do.
use it.
That's like another thing with it. Well, the plate off would be the front, so the back would still be open.
It'd be really hard to do.
Well, no,
on
we
a
could
rear-wheel drive
we
setup.
could still do that. Honestly, what we could do is turbo it. We wouldn't even need to modify the lower intake manifold or upper, anything like that. We'd cap off the back of the supercharger. We'd get the plate for the front and drill a hole there, and then that's where the throttle body can be.
That would be wild.
That would work.
That would work.
That way we wouldn't need to buy anything new except for the plate, and then we would just need to fab the weld. That's another.
Possible. It's possible. Shit, that would be wild.
If we want to turbo it, that'd be the fastest way to do it because we
That
already
would
have
be.
it. We don't have to source an upper or lower tank manifold from a Camaro. We don't have to modify anything.
That's true. I
Well,
wonder if
we would
we
have
could-
to modify it, but it wouldn't be hard to do at
I
all.
wonder if we could get it like machined, like I was talking to you about the Camaro intake. Like maybe we could take off like some material off the bottom to get more space for
Mm-hmm.
an intercooler.
Literally, the supercharger part of it, we could just cut like the entire bottom out of it.
That's true.
And then plate it like that.
Yeah.
That
Because there's like
seems
a
like a good
whole
idea.
inch of material that like sits on the bottom that could be cut out.
That seems like a good idea, honestly, now I'm thinking about it.
Definitely an idea. That would be quick. That would be easy too, because then we wouldn't have to come from the back.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible.
Yeah.
But then again, at that point, why not just use the Camaro intake? But then again,
But
then
we
you
already have it.
switch the lower intake.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, we already have it.
else?
And then also gives us the potential to put a single stack intercooler
right.
because it would just be the lower intake manifold, single stack, and then our modified supercharger case that would just be an upper intake plenum.
By the way, we need to be aware if we go to the Camaro lower intake, we will definitely need to source different fuel rails than what we have now. Just we should need to be aware of that change, since the portholes are right
Yeah.
there, but then they're not there on the
Yeah, the
Camaros.
thing with the Camaro is the injectors go into the actual intake and not directly through the heads into the cylinder. Or not into, yeah. It doesn't have injector holes for the
on the intake, yeah.
yeah, it's on the intake. It's not in the cylinder head of the L36.
Yep. So,
I think that's going to do it. We definitely talked a lot. There's a lot to consider. We definitely want to see what you guys think, what we should do, because we don't want to make you unhappy if we decide to turbo, because turbo would be the fastest route, and definitely the supercharger adds a lot of uniqueness, and this is something that a lot of people talk about, want to do. They're like, we already have a supercharged 3.8. You can get them for super cheap. Why can't I put in my Camaro?
Yeah, and like I said, Supercharged was the planning from the beginning, and that's how I think that would be the most unique. However, not necessarily the best, because like that uniqueness doesn't get us a driving and running car.
Yeah.
So it's
Well,
also
fast.
doing the opposite right now.
Yep, it is.
So yeah, if I had just bought a the turbo kit for this thing, like
Right at the
this,
beginning.
this whole thing would be done.
Yeah, it would be
At
driving.
least it would be driving, depending on if it had a broken transmission or diff.
I mean, your Bonneville still would have blown up, and we would have had to
still would have.
put our direction or our attention towards that. But it would be much farther along, I would think.
That's true.
And then, yeah, I mean, that's where we're at with it. Tell us what you guys think. We have a Patreon if you're looking to support us. You know, make these big financial decisions. We have behind the scenes content on there. You know, I'll send you a sticker. It's fun.
Yeah, there you go. If you want some gauges for your car,
Oh yeah, Pro Sport.
get some Pro
I
Sport.
don't. I
gauges.
literally do not advertise this enough. Pro Sport has given us a discount code. We love our Pro Sport gauges. Tristan's gonna be buying like three of them. We're gonna be making our own custom gauge pod holder for his Bonneville. Even for the Camaro, we're gonna have to buy more for the Camaro.
That's true.
We're looking at buying, you know, like
6 at least.
yeah, 6 gauges probably or more, making custom pods and running all that stuff. So the point is, we have a discount code Jury Rig. Use code Jury Rig at checkout. You'll get 10% off any Pro Sport product.
We don't get kickbacks from that. That's just us from you. There's a
Yeah,
discount
we've-
they
we've-
gave us for you guys.
Yep, we've talked with them. We've done videos for them. It's nice working with them, and they're nice enough to give you guys a discount.
Yeah, some of our install videos are actually on their pages.
Yep.
So that's cool. Yeah. But I think that's pretty much it for you for today.
Mm-hmm.
We will see you guys later.
Yep.
Have anything else to say?
Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment down below.